Good morning, my friends. How are you? Today is Thursday, October 19th. We are talking about something that is evergreen. So, this would be a good one to come back to when it is something that you want. Okay, the message, anyways. So, the message for today, my nose is itching. Do you notice how many times I itch my nose when I come on? Anyways, so the message today is do one thing every day that scares you. And that's by Eleanor Roosevelt. So, do one thing every day that scares you. So, what scares you? What's scaring you today? And I was thinking about how I wanted to frame this, and I want to be current with what's going on in our industry. So, let's talk about the court case that has to do with 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 the antitrust lawsuit being brought in Missouri. So, in this case, it has to do with how real estate professionals have served their buyers and sellers over the past years, and the way that compensation has been divided up. So, it's an interesting case, but it's bringing out some really interesting little nuggets of truth for me. So when I first heard about it, and what it boils down to is the way that we currently generally practice is that the seller agrees to compensate the buyer's agent to bring a ready, willing, and able buyer. So that's it in a nutshell. So the question comes in: are we forcing sellers to pay for something that maybe should not be part of the seller's responsibility? I guess. And so the court has been very interesting, is what I'm going to say. So, things that I find that are interesting to me is that yesterday, Gary Keller and the gentleman, I'm not going to remember his name, from uh, the company that owns Berkshire Hathaway. So, those two were on the stand, and they brought up quotes about what they call price fixing of commissions with a book that Gary Keller had written many, many years ago as a training resource. And also this other gentleman, what he had been training about, they said our commission's negotiable. And he goes, yeah, as long as it's up. And those were the two things that they focused on to prove that we have this price fixing thing going on. And on the other side, NAR said on their piece NAR is the National Association of Realtors. So they said, what happens to those buyers who for some reason or another cannot finance the buyer agent commission? So and will that prohibit them from getting houses? People who are more dramatic and drastic are like, this is the end of buyer agency. Buyers will no longer be represented. So there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of noise. And so anyway, just talking about the various sides here and various things going on. And my question is, what in those things that I've just mentioned gives you like that flutter that scares you? So was it the part that I said that the buyer, like the sellers are may no longer be able at some point in time to pay the buyer's agent? Did that scare you? That you would, as a buyer's agent, have to communicate with your buyer on how that's going to be compensated? Did that scare you? Did it scare you to think that that number one, our whole entire industry is really being out there and exposed for whatever reason, and it's taken a bit of a hit, right? So does that scare you? Does learning a new way to do things scare you? Does the fact of all of it scare you? Right? So do one thing every day that scares you. I thought about it and I'm like, what part of that scares me? Right? And I was thinking about buyers and sellers, and I had this thought: I'm not scared for my buyers and sellers. Like, I'm not afraid of them. I'm not afraid of how they're going to respond to this. Because one thing I've learned is that our buyers and our sellers, they don't let us down. I mean, sure, they may make us crazy during the transaction sometimes. And it may be that we're like, "Arr!" But they show up, and they show up over and over again. I've had such a wonderful relationship with my buyers and sellers, and they've become some of my closest people. They definitely have a place in my heart. And so I'm not afraid for conversations with them. And you know what? I'm not afraid to have conversations with the co-broke. So the co-broke is that person who's on the other side. If you're the seller's agent, they're the buyer's agent, and vice versa. So I know that we generally can work through anything. So that doesn't scare me. So what scares me? I think the part that scares me the most, and this I think comes from being a mom, is that I fear for our industry and the beating that it's taking, because I think generally in our world right now, we're looking at things, we're seeing people just love anger. We're like addicted to anger. And I think to myself that that's what scares me the most is this anger and this thing that I call it like basically like piling on, shitting on people and just being negative and having fun dumping on people. And I you know, I don't want that for people. I want us to work together and keep on problem solving and keep on moving forward with being able to help our consumers. We are a consumer centric business. Everything's the best for our clients. So anyway, don't scare me, fellow agent, and you don't scare me, fellow buyer and seller. You make me get up every morning and want to do the best job that I can. You inspire me. All right, my friends. This is Kate Lanigan McGregor, and I will see you tomorrow. Make it an amazing day.